Radio 620, and you can take part in our YouTube live stream, also the YouTube chat. Subscribe to our page, and all of our local shows are now streamed daily on YouTube. The Blazers fall tonight at home by a final score of 109-95. Cavs get the win. The Blazers lose. They're now 3-8 on the year. That was their fifth straight loss. And I think tonight was just really a combination of a variety of different things. Number one, fatigue. You have a number of guys who have played a lot of minutes, second of a back-to-back, coming off their game last night in Utah. So I think fatigue was a factor. And then the crazy part with the Trailblazers, because of the injuries, they just have a lot of guys who are playing big minutes right now that on any normal night on a healthy team would not be playing big minutes. And that's going to have an issue when you're going up against some of the more talented teams in the NBA. And, going into the night, I had mentioned how the Cavs had gotten out of the gate slowly. They were 4-6. Tonight was their fifth win, but they're much better than that. They're projected to have nearly 50 wins this year. They've got a unique roster with a lot of size, and it created a lot of problems for the Trailblazers tonight. And when I mentioned some of the guys on the floor playing big minutes that probably shouldn't be playing big minutes, just take a look at some of the numbers. Tamani Kamara started again tonight, 21 minutes of action. Skylar Mays, the third point guard on this squad, 30 minutes of action tonight. And off the bench, Bouye got 10 minutes. Jabari Walker, 22. They got 19 from Reef. And Chris Murray with 17 minutes of action. So what I'm trying to say is that that's not the type of talent that you need to be able to compete against, some of the better rosters in the NBA. It's just not going to happen. So, again, I look at it from the standpoint of development. And I got to tell you, I love the effort that we saw tonight. I love to see the way that the guys are battling and the way Chauncey Billups is getting the most out of some of these G Leaguers that he possibly can. So I have no issue with the game tonight. I mean, they hung in. They fought. They battled. And they were right there at halftime, down 7. We're down 7 going into the fourth quarter. And, in the end, they just didn't have quite enough. And that's okay. That's okay. As the Cavs pull away and they get the victory 109-95. And, again, issues tonight for the Trailblazers going into the game. Dead last in the NBA in offensive efficiency, near the bottom when it comes to three-point shooting. And tonight the Blazers just 37% shooting from the floor. Only 34% from three-point range. They were 13 of 38 from three. They actually won the three-point line tonight. They were plus 12 at the three-point line, but the Cavs able to make their bacon elsewhere tonight as they were able to really take advantage of the paint, 60-36 edge. And the Cavs had a number of different guys step up and really produce. 21 points, 12 rebounds from Evan Mobley. Jarrett Allen with 11 points, 9 rebounds. And they got 34 points from Donovan Mitchell. 17 points off the bench from Karis LeVert. And that is that. The Cavs shoot 56% from the floor, and the rest is history. The Trailblazers tonight did some good things. They were a little bit better in the turnover department. 14 turnovers leading to only 13 points. They were aggressive with their defense. They forced 18 turnovers tonight by the Cavs and converted that into 16 points. And that's good. That's really good. So the Blazers, again, in terms of their effort, their energy level, their willingness to compete, I respect it, and I like what I saw tonight. But in the end, just not enough talent, not enough shot making. And with so few shooters on the floor, the Blazers need different guys to step up and make shots. And they just didn't have it tonight. Shaedon Sharpe just 2 of 12 from the floor. He was 4 of 16 last night, 1 of 5 from 3. 7 of 17 and 1 of 6 from 3 for Jeremy Grant. And not a strong night offensively for DeAndre Ayton, just 3 of 10 from the floor. So the key guys that you really needed to step up and have, big nights on the offensive end, they just didn't have it. And just 4 of 13 shooting for Skylar Mays, who scored 13 points and dished out 4 assists. So not enough offense. That was an issue. Tamani Kamara in the starting lineup tonight. He was 0 of 4 from the field and 0 of 3 from downtown. And off the bench, they had some guys who stepped up. Jabari Walker continues to play well. 12 points tonight for him. He was 3 of 4 from downtown. Matisse Thybulle, 3 of 4 from downtown, 5 of 6 from the floor. And Reef continuing to play well in the action he's got. He finished with 16 points on 6 of 10 shooting. He was 2 of 5 from downtown. So there you go. Like the effort, like the way the Blazers competed tonight, but again, just not enough talent to go out there and compete against the best rosters in the NBA, and that's going to be an issue, especially right now with a lot of the guys that they have out of the lineup. Their best player in Anthony Simons. They don't have their top rookie in Scoot Henderson, and of course, the veteran Malcolm Brogdon is unavailable right now as well. Not to mention Robert Williams done for the year. So the offense, I would warn, will continue to be a work in progress until they get some of their guys back. And that's okay. I was taking a little bit of heat on social media because I mentioned how I was pleased with the effort tonight. And that turned into, oh, so you're okay with losing. No, that's not what it's about. This team is going through a full rebuild right now. And it's not that the guys on the floor don't want to win games. They do. That's why they're working so hard and competing at the level they are and giving a really good effort. I respect it. But, playing hard and giving a good effort is not always going to turn into victories. Unfortunately, in the NBA, it comes down to having star power, talent. Guys who can really get things done like the Cavs have. They can lean on a guy like Donovan Mitchell who'll go out and drop 34. The Blazers just don't have that guy. Anthony Simons would be the closest thing to that guy, and he's unavailable right now. So, again, I've told you my mindset for the entire season. I'm not worried about wins and losses. I care about two things primarily. That's player development. And if you want to narrow it down to a couple of guys, Scoot Henderson and Shaden Sharp. And then after player development, I'm really paying attention to Chauncey Billups and his staff. Are they getting the guys to play the way that they want them to play? And I think so far, Chauncey's doing a pretty good job, especially with the response that we've seen defensively so far. But tonight, just not enough. I think it'll be helpful because now they'll get at least a day off. So you get a day off and you get a chance to play the Lakers on Friday, and then you stay at home. They play another game on Sunday against OKC, but hopefully I would expect by Friday and definitely going into Sunday's game that the legs, will be a little bit fresher from the guys, coming off the second of a back-to-back, and that will be helpful too. But the fatigue, the injuries, and then when you have, a bunch of guys who normally wouldn't play that much or playing big minutes, that's going to have an impact. It's going to have an impact, but that's okay. And so I guess it's all on how you approach the season. If you went into it thinking, man, they have to win 40-plus games, or I think this team can win 45 games, I think this team can compete for a play-in spot. If your expectations are focused in on that, then I think that line of thinking will lead to some frustration this year. But if you come at it from the standpoint of, hey, this team's in a full rebuild, they're going to try and develop the young players that they have. They're going to use their assets to go out and bring in more young talent. So this is a process. It's going to take more than a year. And you just embrace that and then watch night to night for the development of the youngsters and pay attention to some of the P's and Q's in terms of what the coaching staff is wanting them to do so that you're watching the game in a different angle and with a different perspective and with a different level of expectation for what you want from this group. I think it's going to help. But again, you're a fan. I'm a fan. I'm not here to tell you how you should think or what you should do. You can do whatever you want. I'm just telling you that if you're looking for wins and that's your only focus, this is not going to be a good season for you because the Blazers are on a different mission right now. They're trying to develop young players. They want to continue to add and grow their assets, young assets, and reshape the roster. So the way the roster looks now, it's going to be a lot different maybe before the end of this year, definitely into the summertime and going into next year as they continue to reshape it into the image that Joe Cronin and his staff is looking for. So that's where we're at. Tough loss tonight. The Blazers fall 109-95. They competed. They gave themselves a chance, but just in the end, not enough. Not enough. Not enough shot making. Not enough guys who can step up and knock it down. And we saw those struggles tonight, but we saw improvements when it came to the turnovers. They were a little more secure with the basketball and big minutes for some of the youngsters and giving them a chance to showcase what they can do. Guys like Reef, Jabari Walker continues to impress. He's playing his tail off. Skylar Mays getting big minutes, and Tamani Kamara in the starting lineup once again tonight. So that's where we're at. And that's the way it's going to be throughout the year. So, like I said, I'm happy. I got no frustration. I know it sounds cheesy, but it is. It's how I feel. It's how I'm looking at the year. I just have a different, mindset, a different thought process, and the way I'm approaching this season because I've seen other franchises go through this. I know what it's all about, and hopefully, it's going to lead to brighter days. I think it will. The best thing you can say about the franchise now is they chose a direction. We know clearly what they're trying to accomplish now. They were trying to do, it looked like maybe two things at the same time: go young and compete with Dame, but that's not a way to do it. They chose a direction. We're going to move Dame, we're going to go young, and we're going to rebuild the roster. And I applaud that because once you make a decision and you choose a direction, then it's much easier to go about trying to make those things happen. And that's the way to do it. So that's where we're at. The Blazers fall tonight, fifth straight loss, 3-8 on the year, and the Lakers are coming to town on Friday night. We'll keep things rolling here on the fifth quarter. Chris Burkhardt will join me when we come back, and I'll get his thoughts on tonight. Jump on YouTube. You can find us there, youtube.com, homepage, Rip City Radio 620, and you can take part in the YouTube chat and join us here on the live stream inside of our studios here in Tigard. Blazers fall 109-95 to the Cavs. It's the fifth quarter on 620 Rip City Radio.
It's time for a fifth quarter scoreboard report powered by Columbia Heating and Cooling, raising your expectations of comfort.
All right, let's check the NBA scoreboard tonight. We start out in our nation's capital where the Mavericks outscore the Wizards 130 to 117. Tim Hardaway Jr. with 31 points. In Atlanta, the Knicks over the Hawks 116 to 114. Julius Randle near triple-double, 29 points, 10 boards, 8 assists. In the fighting city of Philadelphia, the Celtics over the 76ers 117 to 107. Jason Tatum 29 points, 8 boards, 6 assists. In Toronto, the Bucks over the Raptors 128 to 112. They improved to 7-4. Damian Lillard with 37 points and 13 assists. In Chicago, the Magic over the Bulls 96 to 94. In Phoenix, the Suns ripped the Timberwolves 133 to 115. Kevin Durant with 31 points, 6 boards, 6 assists. Karl Anthony Towns 25 points, 7 boards in the loss. In Los Angeles, the Kings over the Lakers 125 to 110. Sabonis dropped 29 points, 16 rebounds, and 7 assists. LeBron with a triple-double, 28 points, 10 boards, and 11 assists. And in Portland, the Cavaliers over the Trailblazers 109 to 95. Donovan Mitchell, a game high, 34 points. He also grabbed 6 rebounds. Matisse Thybulle for your Portland Trailblazers, 13 points and 3 steals. All right, fifth quarter. That's Chris Burkhardt. I'm Chad Doing. 109.95 is the final tonight. And what would your message be to some of the fans out there who are just frustrated with the fact that this team's not winning games, Burkhardt? How would you counsel a basketball fan through this period of time with the Trailblazers?
Dang, I did not come prepared. Should have had the Aaron Rodgers relax soundbite ready to go. But you're right. I think we talked about it in the pregame show, Chad. I mean, you just have to temper your expectations. And what are you in for? If you're in for win at all costs, you're going to be in for a very long season. And the thing is, like, to your point about, I'm a fan. I'm not going to tell you how to fan. There's some fans that's all it is. They just want to win. So this is a struggle. But sometimes you got to understand. You got to read a little bit, right? Figure out what's going on. Read the room, so to speak, and understand where they're going. And so, yeah, it's going to be a long season if that's what you're in for. But when you have your expectation that you're looking for improvements and you know this team's going to take their bumps, it's going to happen. Like, you get people mad that I saw the person you were going at it on Twitter for a second. This is my 6th rebuild I've seen, and what do we have to show for it? Like, what does anybody have to show for it? Like, a full third of the NBA has never won a championship.
I don't even remember the last time this team went through a full rebuild. I honestly don't. Would that have been back when B. Roy and LaMarcus and Greg Oden were, brought into the franchise? I don't remember a full rebuild. This team's basically been a perennial playoff-type team most of the time. I've lived out here since 87.
I mean, I remember, right, 20 straight years of making it to the playoffs? Like, there's a run of consistency there for this team. So, yeah, I can't remember a full-on rebuild. Even Dame wasn't a full-on rebuild, right? Because
LaMarcus was here when he arrived.
LaMarcus was here. He entered. Roy and LaMarcus were good right out the jump. And full rebuild, like, it's tough. But when seriously, like, the Denver Nuggets just won their very first championship in franchise history, and there are still 10 teams in this league who don't have one.
Well, I just think that the Trailblazers, the organization, made it easy for me. Once they made the choice to go in a certain direction, then I knew what the expectations were coming into the year. I knew what to expect. They made a choice. Now, you can disagree with their choice to move on from Dame and go young or rebuild, or maybe you wanted them to keep Dame, but that's neither here nor there now. They made a choice. So once they decided to make that decision to go in a different direction and move Dame, we knew what to expect. And that's good. That's what you want. So that's where I'm at. I'm just at peace with everything. And I want to sit back, and I'm going to be patient and just watch it develop.
I will tell you this much, Chad, and let me grab my computer real quick. Boom, pop over, because I got to see this, Chad. It was a Matthew Vantris Apologize if I mispronounced your name there, but in the YouTube chat says, talking about how we don't have the patience to pay high ticket prices to watch a G League roster the next several years. And I'll tell you, that is one thing that if I'm a fan, that is a point of contention, right? Because the prices don't the prices go up, right? When the when the good teams come to town and everyone's clicking, they'll charge you more. But you never get charged less when, half your team is injured and this and that. And I do know plenty of season ticket holders who have been a little upset because their season ticket prices are still coming at a premium. And then they're walking into places like Costco or Fred Meyer and seeing massive ticket deals for cheaper than they had to pay. So little things like that do get annoying when you're watching Duop Reith and Skylar Mays.
Matthew also said, hey, Chad, the Detroit Pistons have been tanking and developing young talent the last several years. The Pistons still suck. Do you care to address how all their tanking hasn't made them any better? Well, I really don't care about the Pistons. I mean, that's not exactly a great franchise. So I like to think that, the Blazers' brain trust with Joe Cronin, they're going to make better decisions and be able to get this team up to speed and competitive in a much quicker fashion than what we're seeing in Detroit. I mean, Detroit's been bad for a long time because they're just a poor organization. And they have been for quite some time with poor leadership. So we'll see how things continue to shake out with Cronin. But we're just in the beginning stages of it, the very beginning stages of it. So right now is not a time to, evaluate. That's why I said, in terms of what we see right now, I care about two things: the development of Scoot and Shaden primarily, the young players. And then, paying attention to see if there's a response from the players to what Chauncey Billups wants them to do. Are they playing the way he wants them to? And we'll continue to watch throughout the year. Let's go out to Tall Tim. Tall Tim, welcome to the fifth quarter. What's on your mind?
Well, if you're going to make, let's say, some libation or something to have a good time, you can make some real cheap hooch real fast. Or you can, let stuff percolate and add some really good ingredients and take a little bit more time and have some fine stuff. So which way do you want to go? There's no shortcuts in life. It's just choices you have to make. So right now, we need more talent. And one of the best ways to get more talent is to get in the top 5 of the draft in almost any year. So, of course, they have to be competitive, which I'm really enjoying this year. I think that's one takeaway I have this year is you can watch the game, and it's fun because they're in the game. They're making the other team have to work to get the victory, but they're not making that their number one priority. I mean, they're not putting the starters in, full time. They're letting other guys get some run. And you got to see who you got this year. And obviously with the injuries we've had early, it's been very interesting. I think it's going to be cool when Simons comes back. What do you think? I mean, I think that's going to be kind of fun how he pops in and maybe gives them a burst and tries to figure out where he's going. How do you think that's going to roll?
Well, I think he's going to make a difference because he's a shot maker, but I don't think he can walk on water or turn water into wine or part the Red Sea. Like, they're still going to have their issues, but clearly having Ant on the floor will help because he can make shots and the defense will attract to him. So he'll give, some better looks to other players on the floor. So there's no doubt they miss Anthony Simons right now. They just don't have any real three-point shooters on the roster. It's part of the reason why right now they're dead last in the NBA in offense.
I've talked about this before. I mean, the three-point shot is kind of how the game goes now. If you can't make threes, you rarely win the game unless you're just really dominant in some other area. And, of course, Portland, I can't think of another area where they're dominant in anything. But
well, plus, look at the guys who are
really
playing right now.
I just really like the hustle right now.
Well, Tim, look at the guys who are playing big minutes. Right now, tonight, Skylar Mays, 30 minutes in the game. Tamani Kamara played 21 minutes. Those guys on any other legitimate NBA roster would not be playing big minutes right now. Jabari Walker is improving, and I like the work he put in his game. He played 22 minutes tonight. Duop Reith with 19, and the rookie Chris Murray with 17. Those are big minutes for young guys and G leaguers. You know, they're playing out of necessity because the Blazers are banged up.
Oh, and there's no doubt. I mean, we're that's what I find impressive, though, is they seem to have some sort of a scheme that they can go out there and stay somehow connected defensively enough to where they're not getting completely burned. I mean, they get burned, obviously, on some plays. You can see it. But then they got a few guys that are kind of able to make shots. But eventually the shot making breaks down, and then they get in trouble and they can't make up enough time. But I'm enjoying it. But, yeah, we've got scrubs out there now. Come on.
I know exactly. Like, and I'm enjoying, too, the way they compete. Like, I literally am enjoying it. Last night was another good example. They put themselves in a position to win that game in Utah, and then in the fourth quarter when they cut it to 2, they went 5 minutes without a field goal. And the Jazz scored 13 straight points to put the game away. And in that second half, they connected on 4 of their 19 three-point shots, and they were a total 15 of 45 from the field in the second half. That's just not going to get the job done tonight. The Blazers 37% from the floor. They were 13 of 38 from 3 for 34%. So, again, that's shooting because of the roster and because of lack of, star power shooters they have. The offense is going to continue to be an issue throughout the season. So but with that said, the way they're competing and the way they're getting after defensively, that does make the games competitive, and I like to see the way they're going after and competing. I respect it.
The Cleveland, they've got LeVert, and you look at what he did tonight.
Yeah.
He made shots that just kept getting them 1 more, 4 more, 6 points more ahead. You need a guy like that, and obviously we don't have that guy. And then you had Mitchell, doing the same thing on the starting unit. Those 2 guys, that's what you need in this league. You need shot makers.
There's no question, buddy. I appreciate it. That's Tall Tim. We'll come back on fifth quarter, and we'll take a listen to Coach Billups and see what he had to say about the game tonight. Chris Burkhardt and Chad Doing with you. Blazers will get a day off tomorrow, and then the Lakers are in town on Friday night after they took a loss tonight at home against the Sacramento Kings. It's the fifth quarter here on 620 Rip City Radio.
The best performing team requires the best workstations. What's the Scoot is brought to you by Office Furniture Reborn. Need desks, better office chairs, or just the right file cabinet? Office Furniture Reborn has a huge selection of colors and sizes to choose from. So drop by Office Furniture Reborn's huge showroom just off Pacific Highway in 217 or visit www.officefurniturereborn.com.
All right, Scoot Henderson, quick update. He did not play tonight. He's going to remain out for a couple of more weeks as he recovers from the bone bruise. It's nothing serious, but should be back on the floor soon. And when he does, we'll get a chance to continue to watch his development. And I can't wait because I'm excited to see how he's going to develop as the season presses along. So a couple of more weeks without Scoot, and then he'll be back, and we'll be able to continue to watch his development. Let's go out to the phones. Eric in Carlton won tickets because he listened to the Rip City Drive with Dwight and Shad on Trailblazer Ticket Tuesday. He was at the game tonight. Let's find out how that went. Eric, my man, how'd it go tonight?
Oh, man. Me and my son moved here 3 years ago, and we feel like we're official Portlanders. Somebody broke into my truck while I was at the game. So does that make us official?
That makes you official now. Whereabouts were you parked when you had your truck broken into?
It was a $25 lot. I should have just spent the extra $15 and parked over in the main lots. But oh well.
Was anything
I gotta
taken?
tell you guys though, for anyone listening, I've been going to games around the whole country my whole life. Only other people that ever did that were Philadelphia fans. So I hope Portland gets it together.
Yeah, that's cool, man. What was taken out of your truck? Anything of value?
No, just broke my window.
Huh.
So otherwise, we good.
Well, that's good. Did your son have a good time at the game?
Oh, man, we had a good time, and we got down to the Cavs tunnel after the game and got to dab up Evan Mobley and Karis LeVert, so that was pretty fun. So yeah, thanks a lot for the tickets. Oh, my son wanted to give a shout-out, too.
Yeah.
I found $60 on the floor, so shout-out to some rich person that left it there.
Oh, nice, dude. Nice work tonight, man.
Yeah. Left some Blazers merch.
That's great, dude. Nice work, Eric. I appreciate it. I'm glad you guys won the tickets. That's awesome. It does suck about having your car broken into. It's happened to me multiple times over the last few years. The most recent time was down in the Bay Area during the summertime, and all my stuff was jacked out. Brutal, absolutely brutal experience.
I had it happen to me at a Blazer game before I was working in media, right? So I was going to the game. It was against the Clippers. I was meeting up with a buddy of mine from my youth who I hadn't like seen in years. Like, we started to, get back together. I was like, yeah, let's go out to the game. So at this point in time, I only had one working vehicle, right? So my wife took that car because we were working out in Hillsborough at the time at 24-Hour Fitness. So she took that car to go to work. So I called my mom up, like, hey, Mom, can I borrow your rig? And she's like, yeah, not a problem. So she let me borrow it. And that car got broken into that night. So I had to call my mom to break that news to her. Like, hey, Mom, thanks for letting me use the car, but got broken into us at the game.
Dude, that sucks so much. I hate that. I hate that you can't have your rig parked somewhere and know that it's going to be safe. Drives you crazy.
Especially for Eric there. You parked in a paid lot. Like, you feel like you should get some peace of mind, or at least in a paid lot.
Yeah, that your car at least should be safe and no one's going to bust a window out.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. All right, let's check in with Blazers coach Chauncey Billups following the Blazers' 109-95 loss tonight at Moda Center.
We're not, I guess, healthy enough to survive and absorb tough shooting nights from our top guys. And then I thought on the other end, that was something that we were concerned about anyway, just their size, and shoot, we couldn't contend. For the most part, they crushed us on the glass, kind of locked down the paint. So it was just tough. It was tough to score. It was tough to score on them. Thought our bench came in and was awesome. Gave us great minutes, great spark, great energy. But yeah, they did. Donovan was man. He seemed like he didn't miss. He was getting anything he wanted and knocking out some tough shots. So they played well, but we just didn't have enough.
Is there anything to take away positively from a game like this, where you guys are pretty outmanned, but is there anything you do look at in games like this?
Always. I mean, for me, I came in at halftime. I was so encouraged. At halftime, I think we was down. I think maybe 7 or 8. But I thought we didn't play great. But man, we were just in there. We was in there. We was in there scrapping, fighting, clawing. Every time they made a run, we found a way to, just stop the bleeding and get back into it. So I loved our fight there. And in the third quarter, I thought third quarter we played them even in the third quarter, and then they jumped out, obviously, and got away from us in the fourth.
Wap, Brett's probably one of those guys off the bench. How impressed have you been, the past couple nights, what he's been able to do?
Yeah, Wap is, he's been great, man. He's been great. It's one of the reasons why I wanted, him on our team so bad, because he's so different than our other fives. Able to space the floor, but not only that, he goes in there, he rebounds. He's offensive rebound, and he's just never giving up out there, and he's just got a good feel for the game. You can kind of run some things through him at the elbow. He can make different reads and passes, and so I'm happy to see Watt playing so well, but I'm not surprised.
Was it tough? Back-to-backs are what they are, but you guys were kind of chasing the last 2 games, trying to claw back in most of those nights, and then you have to come back today and chase Donovan Mitchell around. Is that pretty tough?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's tough. Anytime, whether it's us or another team coming here on a back-to-back, it's just a tough one. As we know, Portland isn't close to anywhere. In terms of just back-to-backs, coming from Utah last night was obviously a tough one, but it didn't matter. That's a tough team to play against, no matter if you got 3 days of rest and waiting on them. They built their team very nicely, and Donovan Mitchell obviously is, one of the very best in the league.
There you go, Coach Billups, following the Blazers 109-95 at Moda Center. Cavs get the win. And what's up with the reporters referring to players in their code names, their nicknames? WAP?
Yeah, people did that. So Black Mamba had a really good game tonight, Coach Jackson. What do you think about that?
Hey, Coach Billups, what did you think about 2 tonight? Come on, man.
Hey, Dominatin had another double-double, Coach. What do you think? What?
I used to love that when Terry Porter was salty and you didn't pronounce someone's name correctly, he would correct you. And what'd you think about Enos tonight? Enos Cantor had a strong. You mean Ennis? Remember when he did that to Quick? Corrected him.
Yeah. Terry would do it to me all the time. There was a game in Denver, I remember, where the team was they were beat up a little bit. So I think Ant got the start that night, and it might have been his rookie year or something. And I said something about, Coach, what's it like? Is it tough to go out there with these makeshift lineups? And he just looks at me and goes, I wouldn't call it makeshift. I'm like, whatever you want to call it, Coach. You know what I'm getting at. You just wanted to step on the little guy at your feet. It was just kind of funny.
Yeah. If they're in a mood and they hear any type of phrasing they're not cool with, they're just gonna be difficult. All right, we'll come back on fifth quarter. We'll keep things rolling here. Blazers fall tonight by 14. They get a day off. The wonderful LA Lakers and LeBron James and all of their fake loser fans will be in town on Friday. So prepare yourself for all the Crown Royal bags you're going to be surrounded by, because you know it's coming. It's annoying. And just remember that they're not just Laker fans looking in their Crown Royal bags. They're also wannabe Warrior fans too. It's the same person. So if you feel the need to sell your tickets and take advantage of these people by marking it up 4 times the actual value, feel free. You got fifth quarter.
Liberty Coin and Currency presents the fifth quarter shot of the night. Liberty Coin and Currency, the place to buy and sell your gold, silver, jewelry, and
and then finds Murray for the flush.
All right, fifth quarter, Cavaliers over the Trailblazers tonight by a final score of 109-95. And I would warn you that it's going to get even more difficult for the Trailblazers if you take a look at their upcoming schedule. Lakers are in town on Friday, and then the Oklahoma City Thunder and their good young roster in town on Sunday. They travel to Phoenix for a game on Tuesday, back home on Wednesday, second of a back-to-back against the Utah Jazz, who they lost to last night, before they take off for games at Milwaukee, Indiana, Cleveland, Utah, and the LA Clippers. I mean, Burkhardt, if we're just being honest right now, I don't see a lot of wins coming up on the schedule.
Gonna get worse before it gets better, right?
Yikers. That is a tough stretch.
I beat the Clippers, though. That team's playing horrendous basketball.
They're not good right now. Not good. So we'll see how it shakes out. But if they continue to compete like this, I've got no issue.
That's the thing. Okay, so we can debate it all night long. What's right, what's wrong? But this team right now, and I want to point out Iron Rod in the chat. He's one of the chatters right now who's going off upset, doesn't like the losing, doesn't want to rebuild, which I get. Like, that's fair as a fan, right? But he also said, I understand why they're doing it. And I think that's the key point. You got to understand what's going on. He does, but losing sucks, right? The difference between right now to me and the last 2 years is you were fed the we're tanking, right? This year, I firmly believe this team is trying as hard as they can. They just don't have the talent anymore to win those games, and that's different. And this is coming from me, and if you are a follower of the fifth quarter and game day and courtside and listen to me talk, I hated the last 2 years because I hate tanking. I think tanking can breed just a bad vibe in the locker room because tanking can breed losing, right? And then that can be a mentality, and I don't like it. But right now, I don't think this team is trying to purposely lose. They just don't have the horses to go out there and run a race. But to other people's comments, like the Orb and Han and King City, who comments as well, like they're seeing improvements and they're enjoying watching the game because of it. I enjoy watching this team play. I don't enjoy watching the end of last season Blazers play with a bunch of guys like, yeah, where's he going to be next year? What are we doing? There are differences to it. Now, if it gets to the end and now everybody's hurt and you feel like that you're getting fed that same tank BS, yeah, then I'll get irritated at that point. But right now, I like what I'm seeing.
Yeah, and I'm looking at players like Tamani Kamara, and I'm wondering what type of a 3-and-D asset he can be for this team in the future. I'm looking at Shaedon Sharp, and I'm excited to see what he can develop into as he continues to play big minutes. I can't wait to see Scoot get back on the floor. So, there's a lot of things to look forward to this year, aside from, wins and losses. I don't know what else to say. I'm just not frustrated. I've spent enough time being frustrated over this franchise over the last decade. But they chose a direction. We know what it is, and it's a rebuild, and it's going to take some time.
See, the worst part right now for fans who get frustrated by this rebuild is this is year one, right? Because the last 2 years where it's frustrating is the last 2 years they did what the Blazers have always done, and that is what lane are we in? What lane are we in? Are we in the playoff lane? Are we in the rebuild lane? We're going to start in one, then we're going to go the other. Are we in the CJ lane and the Dame lane or the Ant lane? Like, pick a lane. We're going to go young, we're going to go old. This year they've actually felt like they've picked a lane And I think that almost feels weird, and it's going to be bumpy because it's not the one that a lot of people like.
I agree. And picking a lane is much better than sitting in no man's land. And they're not just sitting here after picking a lane. They've got assets to work with now. Veteran assets, which are going to net them some very high-value young assets.
Yeah, you would hope so.
Yeah.
And I don't think at the current rate either. I mean, some people worried about a 5-year, a 10-year rebuild. I think if you do this
10
right,
years?
yeah,
I don't think it's going to be like that.
No, I think if you do this right, you get more in line with kind of what the Grizzlies did, right? Trade off the faces of their franchise. Gasol's gone. Conley gone. I mean, Conley was the face of the Grizzlies, right? I mean, Mr. Iron Man always playing. People loved him. He's still in the league playing very well for Minnesota. But they moved on and they made the decision. They got Ja. It took Ja. Ja played well in season 1, but took him another year to just really get going. And then last year, they were a great basketball team. Now, out of the gates this year, they're bad. Why? Because Steven Adams got legit hurt. And then Ja, obviously, the suspension showing how important he is.
Yeah.
But they turned that thing around in like 2-3 years' time. And that's what I feel like can happen here if everything clicks.
I agree. I'm looking at, 2 to 3 years down the road. Where are they going to be? 2 to 3 years from now. My guess is they're going to be in a much better spot with young talent that's, coming into its own. And that's good. That's a good thing. Now, it could be accelerated. Like if Scoot Henderson and Shaden Sharp turn into the players we think they're going to be sooner rather than later, then this rebuild may not take as long.
And you would hope so. And even Shea, Shea, you can tell is getting gassed right now, but there's no other help around him when it comes to anyone to take the scoring load outside of Jeremy, right? But the two different positions, the way they get guarded are absolutely different. So it's tough for him. That's why, this team, they want, everyone worried about them faking, oh, look, the hand this and then Brogdon that. I don't think they're faking injuries because that's the worst thing that can happen for Shea's development. You want healthy guys out there that are capable, as someone just alluded to, John Boyea, maybe one of the worst players he's ever seen on a basketball court. And then you're going to tell me Ayton needs to find his comfort zone and Shea needs to develop playing with these two-way guys? That's rough.
Booyah! Well, I think that's going to do it for us. That is going to do it for us. A big thank you to all of you who joined us on the YouTube stream tonight. Tomorrow morning, Rip City Mornings with Justin Myers at 6 here on 620 Rip City Radio and on YouTube. Dwight and I are back with the Rip City Drive at 3 o'clock. Our next Blazer broadcast, Chris and I will be back together on Friday. Game day will start at 4:30. Tip-off against the Lakers at 7. And, of course, we're back for fifth quarter. So a big thanks to all of you. Your final score tonight from Moda Center, the Cleveland Cavaliers over your Portland Trailblazers, 109-95. For Chris Burkhardt, I'm Chad Doing. Have a great night, my friends.